Hello, everyone, and welcome to BodyBags. I'll be your reviewer for today. I'm Lonnie from Tats, and oh wow, man, I'm in a good mood today, folks. I know we've said it before. Not just me, but the other guys on the channel. We've said earlier in the year, but 2022 has been a really good year for horror movies. I mean, sure, we've had some clunkers along the way, but yeah, pretty much horror genre has been pretty much kicking it and killing it the entire time. And um, just a few days ago, I went did a little pre-Black Friday shopping, and um, first of all, let me just say I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope everybody had a great holiday. I hope just got to be with family and friends, and I really hope the best for everybody, good health and good fortune for everybody. So, and happy belated Thanksgiving for everybody. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, yeah, I did a little pre Black Friday shopping the other day, and I managed to get Black Phone on I wish on 4K, but I got it on Blu-ray, and I mentioned it, and everybody on the channel, Rob, Sam, Jason, James, Glenn, everybody was telling me, like Chris, everybody was telling me, like, you gotta hurry up and see it. It's really good. It's such a good movie and all this stuff. And guess what? They were right. Every one of the guys, they were right, right on the money. That was a really good movie, and and it just puts a smile on my face. That horror movies have been doing so well this year, and like I said, we've had a couple of them that were kind of stinkers, but for the most part, horror movies were doing really good. And one guy I definitely have to thank this year is Ty West, because you know not only did he, like, I reviewed the movie X months ago, and it's like, wow, man, I was blown away by that movie. I mean, sure, it was a little, it was a little bit more nostalgic. It was more of a 70s kind of, definitely like a nod to Toby Hooper, especially, Chainsaw Massacre. Sure, like I'm wearing here. Chainsaw Massacre and Eaten Alive, and stuff like that. But that movie I thought was really, really well done, and but the best part was he hit us with a double whammy. It's like, so just months after X came out, we get the prequel to X, which is Pearl, and this is the movie I wanted to talk about today. And wow, this movie is a lot of fun, and if you like X, you're gonna like Pearl, and just wow, this is another movie that blew me away. And even though stylistically it is different in a number of ways, the way I understand it though is like, um, actually, like Ty West, Mia Goth, cast and crew and everything, they went over to New Zealand, and this was around, definitely, I think this was supposed to be definitely around the time when COVID was at its peak. And so they were, and they went to New Zealand to make the movie X. But then I understood correctly, they were stuck there because they were quarantined, and they had to stay there for a while before they could leave. And so they were like, well, we have Mia Goth, we still have the farmhouse location, all that stuff. We got a little extra money. Let's make another movie since we're stuck here. Let's make an extra movie. So they went ahead and they did this movie as the prequel to X, and just wow, you know. And from my understanding is they're supposed to be both Ty West and Mia Goth. They're working on a third one now. It's going to be called Maxine, but it's MAXXINE. So I guess this is supposed to be Maxine when she's in the, she gets into the porn industry and all this stuff, and I don't know. Either she goes crazy and starts killing people, or other people are killing people, and she's got to survive that too. I don't know. Well, we won't know till the movie comes out. But anyway, we're not talking about that. Let's talk about this movie. Just okay. The story is that's kind of the nice part though too about reviewing a movie like this, because this movie is a prequel to the movie X. So you kind of when you're dealing with a prequel, you're not really worried about spoilers so much, because you already know where the story's going to go. So you're not really worried about spoiling it. So that like, okay, yeah, this is a story, and you got, like the side characters, you're kind of like, okay, yeah, don't get too attached to them, because it's not going to end well for them. But anyway, so the story, you have Pearl, who is the old lady, the killer in, X, and she's living on this farm. It's the same farm. You could tell it's the same farm from X and everything. and she's living on the farm. Her husband Howard is off fighting in World War One, and the story takes place in 1918. And funny, they're dealing with a pandemic as well, which, life imitates art and art imitates life. But so anyway, so she's on the farm. She's with her mother, her German-speaking mother, and her invalid father, who she has to help take care of. And so she's on the farm, and she hates it. She hates her life there. She does not want to be there. And Pearl is someone who she is incredibly narcissistic. She is so narcissistic. She is such a legend in her own mind. She really believes that, living on this farm, it's it's almost like it's cruel and inhumane to her that she's got to live on this farm and she's got to do farm work and she's got to help her mother. She's got to, take care of her father and things like this. She honestly believes, that she's destined for greater things. She's destined to become a dancing, a dancing showgirl kind of, in the movies and all this stuff. Well, we've, come to find out, like, Pearl has all these little secrets that she keeps from her mother. And, like, for example, like her mother will give her money to go into town to buy medicine for her father. This is medicine that her father needs and stuff. Well, it turns out that actually Pearl, like, she buys her father the medicine, but then she goes and she's, instead of bringing her mother back the change, she goes and uses the money so she can go to watch the movies, go to the movie theater. And, not only that, but it's like, come to find out, she's kind of stealing some swigs of her father's medicine. So she kind of medicating herself. But she's watching these movies, and at one point she's, standing in the alley and she meets the projectionist and stuff, and he's talking about how, hey, if you ever want to come on in, it's like, we can hang out and all this, even though Pearl's married, and she does mention that she's married and stuff. but, she does mention that she's married and stuff, but he's like, hey, come on in, it's like, I'll let you watch some movies for free and stuff like that, and, hang out in my projection booth and all this stuff. And so, she goes and she's working on the farm, and turns out another thing that she's doing is she has this little habit of killing the animals on the farm. It's like she's in the barn, she's like feeding, the sheep and the cow and all that kind of stuff that they got, and like, like a goose. Is a goose or a swan? I get those confused. But a goose or a swan comes in and she just decides that she's going to take a pitchfork and just kill it. And then she takes it and then, takes the dead animal and goes and throws it to the alligator. You remember the alligator from, X. So she's, doing that to kind of cover up what she's doing. And so as the story goes along, it's like she's her and her mother are constantly having these, battles back and forth and everything else. And, then it comes out that Pearl's sister-in-law, Mitzi, comes along and she tells Pearl that, they're doing these auditions. This church is doing auditions for a dance troupe, that they want to do this dance troupe and they want to like move, go across the state and just, do these dance performances and stuff like this. And as soon as Pearl hears this, she, it's amazing because, like Pearl considers this like a do or die situation. This is her one chance. This is the only chance she will ever have to get off of this farm, to, do something, to, become a star and all this kind of stuff. And she is bound and determined nothing is going to get in her way, And so she's not really even practicing or anything like that, but she keeps saying she needs to practice and all this kind of stuff so she could do her audition and stuff like this. You get a very Carrie-like moment between, Pearl and her mother when she's talking about she's going to do. It's almost like that scene kind of reminiscent of Carrie, where Carrie talks about she's going to the prom and all that, and the mother's like, no, you're not going to the prom and all, and she's like, no, I am going and all. It's a very similar kind of scene here. But so she's talking about like, yeah, this is my one chance, and I got to do this, and I can't be stuck on this farm. I can't be stuck with you and stuck with Dad and all this other kind of stuff and everything else. And so they're fighting about it, and So Pearl decides, when her mother is like, I'm putting my foot down, and she's like, why is it you hate me and all this stuff? And she's like, and her mother breaks down, explains to her, is like, I know what you're doing. I see what you're doing. I see you killing the farm animals. I see you doing this and everything else. She's like, I don't want you getting off this farm because I know what you are and I know what you're capable of and everything else. Which this makes Pearl snap. And then so she goes and you know, her and her mother, they fight and everything else. So like I said, you don't have to really worry about spoilers because, it's like it's a prequel. You already know where this movie's heading. And then so she, she kills her mom, kills her dad, and all this stuff, and she decides she's gonna, she's bound and determined, and all this stuff. And then she goes and, she goes for the audition. Missy is there and all this stuff, and so she goes, she auditions and everything, and it's a beautiful number and everything else, the way it's choreographed and all that stuff. I'll get to the stylistic, elements of this movie in just a minute, but. So anyway, so she goes, she does the, she does the audition. It turns out she's not what they want. And, they tell you, like in the movie X, they're talking about, oh, you need to have that X factor and stuff like that. And they tell Pearl in this movie, you don't have the X factor that we're looking for. Now, it's like most people, most people would be crushed. They'd be, feel defeated and stuff like that. But, they'd say, okay, yeah, this hurts, it sucks and everything. But what do? You pick yourself up. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and you keep going and all this stuff. And it's like for Pearl, it's like this is like her entire world has just crashed down on her, and she feels like this is it. It's never going to get any better. And so then she completely snaps and she starts, really, really, just going insane and all that kind of stuff. And then there's a beautiful scene that Mia Goth does in the movie. It's like. Mia Goth, also helped Ty West, write the story. I don't know if she actually really helped with the script, but I think a lot of it is just, like she she really had the most creative input on Pearl and everything else, and so she ended up getting, co-writing credit for that. But anyway, so there is this amazing scene where she sits at a table, and she's talking about how, her life, that like when she married Howard, like she loved him, but one of the reasons she married him was because he came from a well-to-do family, and she wanted that lifestyle, and she wanted to get off the farm. Like that was her thing. The one thing she wanted more than anything else was to get off this farm, and she wanted to get off that farm and all that kind of stuff. And she just and she wanted to go live in his home with his family and all this, but he decided no, they had to live on the farm. And then on top of that, he had to go and leave. And so she's talking about she has this kind of love-hate relationship with him and stuff. And, just, she feels like, and it's amazing, just, she gives this, great monologue and stuff like that. And one thing you gotta say about Mia Goth in this movie, she is totally fearless in this performance, man. She's like, she's giving this long monologue, and it doesn't matter. She got like tears pouring down her face. She got, snot running out of her nose and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, she's going for it. She really is, she really is the main reason you're going to want to watch this movie is just to see her performance alone. Everything else in it is really good, but still, and but of course, obviously, we know, you see the movie X, she never gets off the farm. She stays there and all that kind of stuff. So I think I'll leave it at that. I think I've given away more than enough, but anyway, though this movie, it really is a really good film. It's it's so well done. The acting is great. Mia Goth gives a wonderful performance. Some people might argue it's maybe not as ballsy of a performance as she gave in X, because like in that movie she had to do a lot of nudity, and she played the character Pearl in the movie X, where she's covered head to toe in heavy prosthetic makeup and stuff like that to look old and stuff. So from that standpoint, like it seems like physicality wise and everything else, she gave a stronger performance in this. But in this movie, she really goes for it. She's almost able to imbue Pearl with just the teeniest little bit of sympathy, but that doesn't last very long because, the narcissism and just the, like she goes for it. I mean, she's fearless. She's not sitting here the entire time, like trying to constantly make you feel sympathy for Pearl, because Pearl ends up doing all these horrible things and all this kind of stuff. And, she really is compelling to watch. And the other thing, though, too, is like this is a movie, oh my God, this is a movie, we talked about before, oh, this movie looked good in black and white. This movie looked good in black and white. This movie looks amazing in black and white. I highly recommend, at least once watch this movie in black and white. I kid you not. This movie looks exactly like you watch it just because the way the movie is done it's very stylistically different from X. It's done in a way that it's done like almost like an old like MGM kind of a David O. Selznick production and everything else. And I swear to God, like you take the you take off the color, you watch it in black and white, it looks so much like those old films. Like you could easily watch this on a you could easily watch this as a double feature with like, something like Hitchcock's Rebecca. You could easily do these two movies as a back to back. But just, and that's one thing I think is amazing about Ty West, as a filmmaker is like, he, most of the time his movies always go for a different, style, a different visual style. I mean, you could look at like House of the Devil, that movie was meant to look like a 1980s horror film and, something you would watch on VHS, which is why for a limited time they put, I think it was Intervision, I think they put House of the Devil on VHS because it looked like one, an old, VHS kind of movie, And then, like, what else was there? The Sacrament, obviously found footage look and all that other kind of stuff. The Innkeepers had, an interesting look to it. Then you had X, which, like I said, looked like a grindhouse drive-in, tribute to Toby Hooper, all that kind of stuff. Looked like it's very much like a 70s movie. And now you have this movie, which, like I said, it looks like a classic, like 1930s, 1940s, very kind of styled, very colorful and everything else. It's almost very like Wizard of Oz-ish. I'm not even kidding. There are times like Pearl is she's riding on her bicycle and she's got like a hat on and everything. She's wearing a dress. And I swear to God, it totally reminds you of Margaret Hamilton in Wizard of Oz. You're almost expecting the music to come along. You're almost expecting the music to accompany her. But yeah, this movie, Pearl, this and X, I was like, oh man, we did really well this year. Like I said, with horror movies, we ended up getting some really, really good ones. And thanks to Ty West, we got two really good. In my opinion, thanks to Ty West, we got two really good films, and I do recommend this. And like I said, give it a chance. Watch it in black and white. Trust me, you're going to be blown away by it. It's definitely going to have that look and feel. So anyway, so of course, another long video. Sorry, everybody. But that's it. So if anybody took the time to watch this, I thank you for doing it, and I appreciate you for doing it. I also hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave it a like. If you haven't already, please go and subscribe to the BodyBags channel. We have a different reviewer, one for every day of the week. I'm the Saturday reviewer. We have a great bunch of guys. Everybody does really good stuff. And we got more fun stuff coming up. We got fun theme weeks coming up and everything else. And, yeah, just more, random weeks, everything else, So that's it. So everybody, take care. Have a good night, and I'll see you later.